Hey guys, welcome to Mob Tales. Today we have a very special guest, good friend, Andrew DiDonato from the old neighborhood Brooklyn. And guys, please share, like, subscribe. Definitely appreciate it. Andrew, thanks a lot for coming on, brother.
Hey Nick, how you feeling, bud?
All right, my man. All good. You look good. Almost as good as me.
Yeah, same old stuff. Everything's the same. How about you say nothing changes with me, bud? How about yourself?
All right, pretty good. I'm very happy to have you on the show finally.
Yeah, it took us a few weeks to get it done, right?
That's all right. As long as we get it done, it's all that matters. You know. So I'm gonna introduce, who you are so people understand on the
Okay.
show. And then I'm gonna, I'll interject a couple of questions and, we'll grow from there,
Yeah, that's fine. No
Yeah,
worries.
so, all right, cool. So for people who may not know Andrew is from Brooklyn, and he was associated, connected with the Gambino crew back in the day under Nicky Caruso, and he had a very interesting life, to say the least. So I'm gonna throw some questions at you, and the first one, of course, is a very important one for me. Is how somebody like yourself, because I don't think people understand how somebody from the street can eventually redeem themselves and come into a better life. I don't think a lot of people understand that or know how people like yourself can transition. Like how different.
All I can tell you as far as that's concerned, Nick, is that it's day by day, like anything else. It's day by day. Because, I have good days and bad days like everybody else. And there are days when I feel like, I can make an easier life for myself by going back to my old ways and make things done, do a little magic trick, get a few 100,000 here or there. But I also know what the cost is, the cost of losing my family again and being away from my loved ones and stuff like that. I understand it's not worth it. So I take the humps and the bumps and I do what I got to do. But on the long and short of it is that, you know what, it's never worth it. No matter what you think you got at the end of the rainbow, it's never worth it. And, you just got to keep your mind right. But it is tough because I could walk into a bank tomorrow. I walk in and I'm just doing a regular deposit or something. And I'm looking for, looking for the soft. I'm looking for the weakness in the area because that's my instinct. But I don't follow through with it because I understand what the consequences are.
Right. Well, I mean, I get that part, but so that's all mental, right? That's a mental thing that you're talking about. More.
It comes down to,
Yeah.
it's very hard to reinvent yourself. It's very, very hard. I've been doing this my whole life. So, me going out there and not having like the experience of the friends that I had, to lift me up and to help me out when things were bad. I don't have that anymore. Now I'm on my own. So you go through a little more of rough spots, but at the end of the day, I do very well, thank God. I've been blessed in many ways. So, I got lucky. There are some guys who don't know how to reinvent themselves. And I feel bad for those guys because it's a long, hard road if you don't. It really is. It's a really, really hard
Yes, I
road.
agree. I mean, there are some guys that are in the same position as yours, but like you said, they can't seem to let go of the past. Like they still,
Yeah.
for some reason, feel like they have to somehow keep in touch with their past. But you seem to let it go, which is a
Yeah,
real.
well, you know what? I realized that, there's not going to be a good ending for me if I go back in that route. There's never nothing. See, like, if I never got in trouble before in my life, I could take a shot. I could go out there and I could commit a few crimes and I'm going to be okay. Even if I get pinched, I'm going to be okay. But being I have such an extensive criminal record, they're going to bury me behind the mops and the brooms. You'll never see me again. And I understand that, and I know that going in. So I realized, what my limitations are. The only time that I will go to jail with a smile on my face is to protect myself or the people that I love. I go with a smile on my fucking face. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to do.
Yeah, of course. I agree. Same way here. But I mean, and I want to let everybody know that you came out with a book not too long ago called this one right here, Surviving the Mob. which was, by the way, guys, great freaking book. I really enjoyed it. And did you ever think of doing a follow-up of that book? Because I'm
You know,
sure.
I thought about it quite a few times. I had some friends of mine who would come to me and say, "Listen, you should write a sequel. You should do something else." But listen, I'm trying to put it behind me. And you know what? I could say, I could write a book about how hard it's been to try to like make the changes in my life and move on and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, honestly speaking, people want to hear about, you know, horrific things. They don't want to hear about a guy who's changing his life anymore. It's sad to say, but people want to be entertained. And the life that I used to live, the life I used to live was entertaining. The only thing that makes it special is that I lived it. If I would have died, it would have been no good story. You know, it's only
Yeah.
a good story because I lived. Plain and simple.
No, thank God for that. I mean, so looking at the life in general. I know you've been out of it for a long time, thank God. But since you've been away from it, it's changed a lot, obviously, and
100%.
that whole structure has somewhat collapsed. Um, Now, what is your opinion of the life right now, like how it
My
is?
opinion of the life now is, I said it once before, you're going to have a nucleus of guys from different crews. They're only going to trust each other because they've been friends for many, many years. They're not going to trust the bosses that they've been assigned to or people that they, are reckoned with because they didn't grow up with that guy. And now, let's face it, bosses are flipping. Bosses are giving information. So if me and you grew up together and we know that we can rely on each other, we're going to earn together. And we're going to choose what we turn in and what we don't turn in. And I think that's what you're getting now. You're getting a bunch of guys who are sticking together and they're just using each other so they can earn and they can make a better life for themselves. Because right now, the way the street is, there's really nothing left. What are you doing out there today? What are you gonna do? There's nothing left. Everything has been picked clean. You know, I've been in the street my whole life. If and guys would do, I would never left the life. But the bottom line is that for me, I also knew that, the writing was on the wall for me. I was on the short list to get clipped, and I knew it. And the bottom line was I wanted to live. And I made a conscious decision in that, and I don't apologize for that. So I was in a, no-win situation, and I did what I had to do. And 9 out of 10 guys in my position would do the same thing. I've been in and out of jail my whole life. It wasn't about being in jail. It was just about, what is my future here? I got no future. I'm giving my life to these people since I'm a child. These people had me as a child all the way up until my adulthood. So what am I going to give them anymore? So it's a wrap. So, when you look at the whole picture of things, I had to be realistic. And realistically speaking, my life was on an oxygen tank in that life. And there was not going to be a happy ending for me or anybody in my family at that point. But what's happening out there's nothing out there worth it anymore, which I don't understand. I understand if you're part of the life. I have some, older, guys that I was friends with years ago, and they're going to be gangster to the day they die. It's just who they are, and they were born for that life, and God bless them. I don't wish them any bad. I hope they're successful. Do what they got to do. As long as our, business don't ever interfere with each other, that's fine. But there's nothing out there anymore. These guys are just on, they're just on the waiting list to get pinched. The FBI has too many resources. They have technology, at their fingertips, and you can't get away with anything anymore. You pull up to a red light. The red lights now got plate readers. You can't even, like, if you're gonna go do a crime today, you pull up to a red light. They got your plate. They know the getaway car. They can see where you're going. Everybody's got a ring fucking doorbell over here. Where you going? You can't rob a fucking package anymore, let alone rob a bank or go do a stick up, or you want to go and do a fucking piece of work. You can't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Technology is seriously advanced. That's for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for the guys in the street, because the guys that are up and coming who want that life for themselves, it's got to be a long, hard road. These guys got to be walking around broke because unless you have somebody who's actually putting you involved in something, or somebody's got some money where you're invested in a, you know, an enterprise or a business or something like that, what kind of earn you gonna have? So if you don't have a position in today's mafia, you're done. You're an up and coming guy. You better be really good at what you do, because if you're not, you're gonna be broke for the rest of your life.
Well, certainly, based on the fact that we both know that the mob in general, is pretty much a fraction of itself of what it used to be.
100%.
Now,
But there are some, listen, I gotta be honest with you. There are some still, I would give it 1 or 2%. There are some real serious guys out there that I grew up around who I know that those guys are gonna be gangsters till the day they die, till they put them in the ground. And those guys, you know, I look at it this way, those guys, they're never gonna change. And so be it, because I had the same mentality. I grew up thinking that I was gonna be that guy for the rest of my life, but it wasn't in the cards for me. You know, another guy maybe. So I can only imagine what they're going through today, you know, because they can't trust anybody. They can't trust anybody. There's nobody out there that they could turn around and feel comfortable around. Everybody that they do something in front of, they got to think, is this the day that this guy tells on me? Did I say too much to that guy? Is somebody getting the information? You got made guys out there who've been cooperating with the government for years, buddy. They're on the payroll. They've been cooperating for years. You know, when you think of guys who had a little longevity, guys who never went away, never did anything, never broke an egg, you got to question those guys. Why didn't they go away? Everybody else went away. Everybody that I knew was getting pinched at one point or another. These guys that had longevity, who did they know? What was so special about what they did that made them, you know, a part of everybody else? I think they were fucking telling, to be honest with you.
Possibly. Well, if, in your opinion, now that, like you said, they're a fraction of what they used to be. So what ethnic group is kind of replacing them at this point?
Well, look at it this way. You know, you could talk about the Albanians, you could talk about the Russians, you could talk about all of these people. Collectively, they're going to do the same thing, because when you're here, you have resources, you have opportunity. Years and years ago, you didn't have the same opportunity. So guys would get together to commit crimes. But today, you go in front of a judge, the judge is going to tell you, you had all these opportunities at your fingertips. Why the fuck would you go out there and commit a crime? And it's not the same as it was years ago, where people could understand why. Now you could just go to work, go to school. You know, guys are making huge money just legitimately. There's guys out there who are making more money legitimately with a regular job than guys who were street guys years ago, grinding every day. You know, if you were a part of a crew that was taking down banks or doing something that was, you know, like drug pushers or whatever the fuck it was, you know, you had a shakedown scheme, or you were part of like a, you know, construction, you know, scam or insurance scam.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were just making, you know, minimal money, you know. And, you know, we all look at the big shots and the guys that we grew up knowing, you know, the guys that we idolized growing up. But there's a very small population of guys who are actually successful at this. You know, everybody else, it was like a full-time fucking job.
Yeah, pretty much. That is true.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you gotta consider, you can't do everything each and every day. Every day's a little bit different. You know, you had a good month, you had a good week, or whatever it is, and you got the highs and the lows going down, but you got no future because you got no 401k. You know, you got no interest in anything. You know, I'm sure there's a bunch of guys out there going to say, "What does he know?" You know, blah 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 blah. But the bottom line is I seen what it is, and I seen more situations in the negative light than I did in the positive light. Show me a happy ending. Show me a guy who stole his whole fucking life and was able to reap the rewards from it and take care of his family and never be touched by the FBI or go to prison and rot there. I mean, it's like a 1%. It's like a 1%.
Very rare. Yeah.
You know, very rare. You know,
the only
it is
guy,
very rare.
Yeah,
And
the only guy I can think of is Meyer Lansky.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it as a whole, and you want people, when I was growing up, you felt like you were part of something special. And listen, I drank the Kool-Aid, brother. I would have died for that shit, and I would have did anything for it. But as you get older and you realize that you're not this honorable person, you're just a criminal, bud. At the end of the day, you're just a criminal,
Yeah.
and and you're expendable. And when you sit there and you think that you would give your life for these people, and they're willing to just, you're expendable to them, it's not a good feeling. And that's when you feel the loneliest, I should say.
Mhm.
And that's my take on it. And
this
it
would
might
be-
not be somebody else's take. That's their business. But the way it affected me and my family, that's how it was.
Right, so this would be the case, I think, in your situation, where I remember when when you got out, the only guy that looked out for you was Billy Catolo.
Well, Billy Catolo looked out for me 1,000%.
Yeah, your own crew did
Okay,
it.
know who else looked out for me? I'll tell you who looked out for me. Danny Pagano from the fucking Genovese crew. He looked out for me. Okay, Danny Pagano. Okay, my boss, not a fucking nickel did I get. Not a nickel.
See, that's the whole
And
thing.
that's okay. I had some personal friends of mine, don't get me wrong. I had some personal friends of mine who gave me a few dollars here, a few dollars there. But my boss, not a fucking dollar. And I hit the ground running. I was out of prison maybe 24 hours. I was already committing crimes. I mean, I didn't waste any time.
Yeah,
And
that's survival. What are you gonna do?
yeah, just had to do it.
Yeah.
But listen, it was never a witch hunt for me. Never was. All it was that I knew that I couldn't win. I was fighting a battle that I couldn't win. And the only thing that I could win with was the truth. So I did what I had to do so I could survive and I could live to fight another day and just keep on with my life. I had never made a decision for myself. Every decision I ever made was based off what my superiors wanted or the Gambino crime family wanted. And that was it. And now it's a much different story. It's way behind me. And I just do what I need to do. I work every day and I do what I need to do. And that's the bottom line.
Well, the thing that I know a lot of people ask me, and I've come across this question many times, where in the life, when you take the oath and you do all that, this is what it is. In other words, you live by it and you die by it, no matter
Yeah.
what. So some people will say to me, well, so Andrew or anybody, whoever I talk to, that I know that's out of the life, like Billy, like yourself, and a lot of other guys like Larry and all them. I have arguments with them, and they say, well, they knew what they were doing. They knew what it was when they were going in. They should have, that's just the way it is. You live and die by it, and that's the end of it.
Well, you know what? If you're going to sit there,
yeah,
I'll give you anybody. If somebody told you, listen, you're going to work this job for 25 years, you're going to work this job for 20 years, whatever it is, you're going to give your life to it, you're going to give heart and soul to it, and then one day you're going to wake up and they're going to kill you. How many people do you think are going to volunteer to get killed? Well, I got to prove I'm a man because I'm going to take a bullet in my head? I think not.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. The bottom line is that everybody has their own analogy of it. And it's very easy for a guy to judge you for what you've done because these people are living vicariously through your acts. They're not people who lived a life. They're people who were sitting on their couches who watch The Godfather and think that that's reality. It's not reality. So you're being judged by people who have no idea what it's like to walk in your shoes. And I get it. Because everybody wants something to believe in. Everybody needs that. Even I need that.
Mm-hmm.
But, on the grand scheme of things, these people don't have a clue what that life really is about. The treachery, the backstabbing, the fucking, the phony bullshit, all of this nonsense. They don't get it. They don't realize that you're only as good as your last favor. You know, you could earn for fucking 30 years straight. When you don't earn no more, they don't give a fuck about you. You know, they don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah,
But
you're expendable, like you said.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
And but you know what? I I commend some of those guys who can continuously could do what they need to do. I commend those guys. They're out there to do. Like I had some friends of mine years ago that I know that these guys, no matter what happens, they're gonna be gangsters. They're gonna keep it real. They're gonna do what they need to do or whatever. But those guys got a hard, they got a hard road ahead of them. They really do. And I feel bad because the only ones who are going to suffer is their families. You know, their kids are going to be without them, their wives, because at some point they're going to have to go back to prison or they're going to die, one or the other.
right.
So, but today you don't see as much, you don't see many guys getting clipped like you'd seen years ago or whatever because they know they can't get away with it as much anymore. They know that law enforcement is fucking everywhere and they know. So now it's all about money. Now, if you can make some money and just keep it moving, that's what they do.
Well, do you think that
You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
take on things.
but do you also think part of that reason that they're not as visible as they used to be because of, would you say that John Sr. had something to do with it? Because of his, flamboyancy and always out on the street and
Listen, like I said this once before to people, when John Sr. took over, everybody had high hopes because John Sr. was a street guy. So if you were a street guy and you were in the Gambino crime family or associated with the Gambino crime family, you had to believe that you were going to be a part of something better because you knew that John was a street guy and he was going to understand what you went through or what you're going through because he's been there. But unfortunately, John had a big ego or whatever he had, and he had to have these mandatory meetings or whatever. And a lot of guys who were low key got caught up in that. My boss was very low key. Nicky was very, very low key, and there's no doubt about it. So going to these mandatory meetings, you got these guys who the FBI didn't even know who they were getting caught in the traps because now the FBI had their license plate number, had pictures of them, used to know their comings and goings. You got to commend John for taking over the family when he did because he was in a kill or be killed situation, and he did the best that he could do, and he was able to get where he had. But it ultimately destroyed everybody because now everybody's out in the open. Everybody knew what was happening, and there was no more secret. There was no secret. The secret was out. The fault was out of the blanket. It was a wrap. And everybody knew who everybody was. And slowly but surely, the FBI started picking everybody apart, person by person. The FBI has nothing but time on their hands. I was in the cell. I was in MCC. I was in the cell, me and Anthony Bawat from the Lucchese family.
yeah,
We were cellmates at one time. Anthony Bawat was a real nice guy. And we were in the cell together one day, and Anthony Bawat says, you see the lights on across the street? It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. He goes, that's the prosecutor's office. He goes, you see, we go to sleep. Our friends are out having drinks. These people never go to fucking sleep. 24/7, there's somebody up there. Our friends are celebrating Christmas because it was Christmas time. He goes, our friends are out there celebrating Christmas, and these guys are writing indictments on all the friends that we know. They never, ever go to sleep. And that's what the government is. The government is 24/7. They got nothing but time and money, and you can't win. You think you could win. You might get a little run, but you can't win.
yeah, that's true. Good point.
You
Um,
know? So
did you have any personal business with Nick John Sr. at all?
with John Sr., no. With John Sr., hell no. My dealings were personally with the guys within the Carrasco crew and the guys that I was with. And of course, I did business with guys from other crime families as well. I had friends within the different family coverage we did. We had a collective crew of guys between the Bonanno crew, the Genovese crew, and me with the Gambino crew. And all the crimes that I with guys all over the map inside organized crime circles. But John Sr. got pinched in 1990. I was away in 1989 on an unrelated to John's situation. I was away for a attempted murder charge in the state prison. So when John got pinched, that was it. John never hit the street again. When I got out of prison in 1994, John was already away 4 years. It was a wrap for him. Sammy was already cooperating, and that was it. And then Nicky Carrazza took over for a very short time, but even Nicky knew he was going to get pinched right away. He knew. He had a lot of heat at the time, and he knew back in '96, I think it was, when Nicky knew that the right was on the wall, but he still wanted he still wanted to take over the family, but he knew he wouldn't last long with that. We had a conversation about that, but it is what it is. And now the chips fell where they may, and everybody's where, whatever direction their life took them.
Right. Besides all that's this point, because you're out of that world and your life has changed and you're a totally different direction altogether. Have you ever thought of, with the book alone, even though I know you did the book a little while ago, did you ever think of doing something more with the book? Not so much a second book, but maybe like a documentary, a film. Did you ever think of anything like that?
Yeah, you know what? I did think of it, and then I'm going to be honest with you, Nick. What happened was life came about, and I had to go to work. I had to work and take care of myself, and here I am in the business that I'm in now. I work 6 days a week, brother. I'm out there every day banging the bushes, trying to make some money, doing what I got to do. So when work takes over, you put that other stuff in the back seat, you put it in the rear view mirror, and you just keep moving. I would love to do it. I just haven't had the time. If I had a little bit more time, or I had somebody to help me along with it, I might be able to do it. But as it stands now, I put it on the back burner to take care of my family and do the things that I need to do.
Right.
That's the only reason why. Life takes precedence.
Right, I'm sure. Well, look, Andrew, we've come to about the time that we have to come to, and look, I'm really happy for you to come on the show. I love your story. I love you're a good guy and an interesting person to speak to. And I admire the fact that you kind of like what Billy is. Well, you guys are both very similar in how you like you said, put everything in the rearview mirror and moved on, which is a very big thing for a lot of guys that can't seem to get away from it. So that's something to be.
Well, I thank you for that. But the bottom line is, it's a work in progress, Nick. I'm a work in progress. If I sat here and told you that I don't think about it on a daily basis, I'd be lying to you. But the bottom line is that I just keep myself motivated and move forward. It's very easy to fall off the horse because it's all I know. If I wanted to, tomorrow morning, when life starts getting you down, and it's very easy to fall off the horse. I just got to remind myself of the pitfalls and the things that would happen to me if I did go that route. And when you think about it, you understand that, there's not going to be a happy ending, brother. It's, you get away with it for a minute, but at the end, they're going to come and they're going to shut your lights, basically.
Yeah, catches up with you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Andrew, once again.
Listen, man, it was a pleasure.
Always.
Send my regards to your family, okay, Nick?
I will, and wish you luck in everything you do.
You got it, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.
You got it. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, God bless, bro.
You too, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.